The text lit up on my husband's phone while he was in the shower. Last night meant everything to me. I was standing in our kitchen with a dish towel in one hand and a wet plate in the other. The shower was running upstairs. Steam moved under the bathroom door. Elijah's phone sat face up on the island because he had grown careless after 23 years of marriage. I should have looked away. Instead, I picked it up. The passcode was still our anniversary. That almost hurt worse than the message. The woman had not used a name, but the thread told me enough. Heart emojis, a hotel parking lot, a wine glass on a balcony. Then that last message. Last night meant everything to me. My thumb moved before I gave myself permission. Come over. She's gone. I hit send. Then I set the phone exactly where it had been, folded the dish towel, and waited for the doorbell to ring. It rang 12 minutes later. That was the part Elijah never counted on. He thought I would cry or scream before I knew what he had already done. He did not know the woman at my door would carry the first piece of proof in her coat pocket. My name is Monica Whitfield. I was 47 then, living in a quiet suburb outside Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the house Elijah and I bought when our son was still sleeping in a race car bed, and our daughter was a baby with soft curls and a serious little face. By that Thursday night, Nathan was 24 and working in Ann Arbor. Brielle was 19 and away at college. Elijah and I had been married long enough that people introduced us as a pair, like a sentence nobody expected to end. That evening, the kitchen smelled like roasted chicken and lemon cleaner. I had worked all day at the county records office, cooked dinner, answered Brielle's text, and wiped the counters while Elijah took his long shower upstairs. His showers had gotten longer that year. So had his meetings. So had the pauses before he answered simple questions. I had noticed all of it and explained every bit of it away. He owned a small manufacturing company. He was tired. He was stressed. His mother had passed the year before, and grief made people strange. A good wife gives grace, I told myself. When the doorbell rang, I did not run. I rinsed my hands, dried them, and walked past the framed photos of our children to the front door. Then I opened the door. Camille Vaughn stood on my porch. I knew her. Not well, but enough. She had planned charity luncheons at our church and helped organize Elijah's company open house the year before. That night she wore a camel coat, pearl earrings, and a look that fell apart the moment she saw me. "Monica," she said. My name sounded wrong in her mouth. I stepped back. "Come in, Camille. You got here fast." Her face went pale under the porch light. "Is Elijah here?" "He's upstairs," I said. "In the shower." The lie she had prepared died before she could speak it. She crossed the threshold because leaving would have been an admission. Her perfume drifted in after her, something expensive and floral that I suddenly recognized from Elijah's jackets. I closed the door behind her. We stood in the living room, two women on either side of a life one of us had not known we were sharing. "There must be some confusion," she said. "There was," I told her. "It cleared up when you rang my doorbell." Upstairs, the shower shut off. Water tapped in the pipes. Elijah moved around the bathroom with the ordinary comfort of a man who believed his house still protected him. Camille looked toward the staircase, not with panic, with calculation. That was my second wound of the night. She was not startled like a woman who had made one bad choice. She was waiting for him to take the lead. Elijah came down in a gray t-shirt and sweatpants, towel still around his neck, rubbing lotion into his hands like nothing had changed. Then he saw Camille. Then he saw me. His face did not collapse. It tightened. A small thing, but I saw it. His first reaction was not guilt. It was irritation that the timing was wrong. "Monica," he said quietly. "Elijah." He looked at Camille. She looked back at him. A whole conversation passed between them without words. I had slept beside this man for more than 2 decades. I knew the difference between shock and a plan interrupted. "This is not what it looks like," he said. I almost laughed, but no sound came out. "Then tell me what it is." Camille touched the small pearl at her ear. "Maybe we should sit down and talk like adults." There it was, the prepared line, the calm, reasonable tone. My husband's hair was still wet. His other woman smelled like a hotel lobby, and I was supposed to prove I could be mature. Adults, I repeated. Elijah took one step toward me. Please, do not make this ugly. Something in me went very still. How long? I asked. Have the two of you been waiting for me to step aside? Neither one answered. That silence told me more than a confession. Camille moved toward the door first, saying something about a mistake and coming back when emotions were lower. Her coat brushed the side table. A folded paper slipped from her pocket and landed beside the umbrella stand. She did not notice. I did. I let her leave. I listened to her car start. I listened until the engine faded down the street. Only then did I bend down and pick up the paper. It was not a love note. It was a printed page from a real estate office. A lakeside condo near Holland. 2 bedrooms. Deposit schedule. Move-in date circled in blue ink. At the bottom, in handwriting I knew better than my own, Elijah had written one word. Possible. I stood there with that paper in my hand while my husband watched me from the stairs. If you are listening right now, tell me where you are from, or what time it is where you are. I always wonder where someone is sitting when a quiet little piece of proof changes the whole room. Elijah came down the rest of the stairs slowly. Give me that, he said. It was the first honest thing he said all night. No. Monica, you do not understand. Then help me. He opened his mouth, and I saw him reach for the version of the story he and Camille had polished. I could almost see the cards in his mind. We drifted. You have been distant. Camille understands me. I never meant to hurt you. He chose a different card first. She has been helping with the anniversary dinner for the company. That's all. From your text messages? His eyes moved to the phone on the island. A tiny flash of fear. Good. You went through my phone? Your phone lit up while I was washing dishes in my kitchen. That is private. I held up the condo page. So is marriage. You did not seem worried about privacy when you planned a new address. His jaw tightened. That is not signed. It is nothing. It was in her pocket. He rubbed the back of his neck. For years, I had seen that gesture as boyish. That night it looked like a man searching for the cheapest exit. We have both been unhappy, he said. Have we? Come on, Monica. You know this has been hard for a long time. The kids are grown. We are different people now. I thought of Nathan's graduation party, Brielle's first heartbreak, and the mornings I packed Elijah's lunch when the business could barely pay him. Different people. Maybe that was true. But only one of us had been building a door behind the other's back. How long? I asked. A few months. Try again. He looked away. There it was. The first crack. I folded the condo page and slid it into the pocket of my cardigan. We are not doing this tonight, I said. His head snapped back toward me. What does that mean? It means I am tired and you are wet, and I do not trust a single word that comes out of your mouth right now. Do not talk to me like that. I am talking to you like a woman who just opened her front door to your secret. He stepped closer. The children do not need to know. That was when my stomach turned. Not because he mentioned Nathan and Brielle, because he mentioned them too fast. Why would they? I asked. I just mean we should be careful. They are adults. But this could hurt them. Then you should have protected them before tonight. He had no answer for that either. I slept in the guest room with the condo page tucked inside a cookbook. I did not sleep much. I listened to pipes settling, wind against the windows, and Elijah pausing once outside the door before moving on. By sunrise, I had made one decision. I would not beg for the truth. I would collect it. The next morning, I made coffee the way I always did. Elijah came into the kitchen wearing his work clothes, his wedding ring still on, his face arranged into apology. I hate how last night happened, he said. Not what happened, how it happened. I poured cream into my cup. I bet you do. He set a hand on the counter. Monica, I still care about you. I never wanted to blindside you. The word blindside almost made me look up. What did you want? He took a breath. I wanted us to have a respectful conversation after the company anniversary dinner, after Brielle got settled at school. There it was again. After Brielle. I lifted my coffee. I need time. Relief moved across his face so quickly he could not hide it. Of course, he said. Take all the time you need. He kissed the air near my cheek before he left. I stood still and let him miss. When his car pulled out, I started with the laptop. I did not know what I was looking for at first. Betrayal drops you in the middle of a room and tells you to find the door without turning on the lights. Our joint checking account looked normal at the top. Mortgage, groceries, utilities, insurance. Then, farther down, smaller transfers repeated every month. Vaughn Event Strategies. The amounts were neat enough not to scream. $800 here, $1,200 there, a consulting fee, a planning retainer. Elijah's company anniversary dinner was real. The charity events were real. Camille's work was real. That was what made the lie useful. I downloaded every statement. I printed the pages. Then I made screenshots and sent them to a new email address Elijah did not know about. After that, I went upstairs to his home office. For years I had treated that room like his private country. That morning, respect felt like a costume I had outgrown. His desk drawers were locked, but the filing cabinet was not. Elijah had always believed nobody in his house would question him enough to check. In the second drawer, behind tax folders and old payroll reports, I found a blue folder with no label. Inside were copies of the condo listing, a draft separation agreement, and a list of household items divided into 2 columns. His side had the lake condo, his business shares, his vintage watch collection, and the SUV. My side had the house, but with a note beside it. Encourage sale within 6 months. Under that was a page of talking points. Monica may resist at first. Emphasize that the children are grown. Frame move near her mother as her idea. Wait until Brielle is settled. I sat down because my knees forgot their job. My mother lived 40 minutes away in Kalamazoo. I visited her every Wednesday after work. Elijah had taken one true thing, my love for my mother, and turned it into a rope to pull me out of my own house. That was when the affair became something colder. It was not just desire, it was planning. I took photos of every page, clear photos, no shaking. Then I put the folder back in the exact position where I found it. Downstairs, the kitchen clock ticked over the stove. I remembered my father teaching me to drive when I was 16. He said, "Panic makes your hands loud. Keep your hands quiet." I called Nadine Morrison from the laundry room with the dryer running in case Elijah had some device in the house. That may sound paranoid. Maybe it was. But once a man hides a whole future from you, you stop feeling silly for checking corners. Nadine answered on the second ring. "Girl, you never call this early." "I need you to listen first," I said. So she did. I told her about the phone, Camille on the porch, the condo page, the transfers, and the folder in Elijah's office. I gave her facts because if I started crying, I was afraid I would not stop. When I finished, Nadine was quiet for 3 full breaths. Then she said, "Do not leave that house. Do not sign one paper. Do not tell him everything you know." Nadine had survived her own divorce 8 years earlier, the kind that teaches a woman where her bank statements live. She was not a lawyer, and she said so, but she knew enough to give me a name. "Howard Raines," she said. "Family law, downtown. Calm as bath water and sharp as a needle. Tell him I sent you. I do not want a war." "You may not get to choose whether there is a war," she said, "but you can choose whether you walk into it blind." After we hung up, I stood beside the dryer with warm towels bumping against the door and felt something shift inside me. Fear was still there, so was grief. But both of them had to wait their turn. That afternoon, Brielle called from campus. Her voice was bright at first, full of cafeteria complaints and roommate trouble. I let her talk because I needed one ordinary thing. Then she got quiet. "Mom, is everything okay with you and Dad?" My hand tightened around the phone. "Why do you ask?" "He texted me yesterday. He said you might want to spend more time near Grandma, maybe even move closer to her if you two needed space." The laundry room seemed to tilt. He said I wanted that? Kind of. He made it sound like you were overwhelmed and maybe he was trying to support you. I do not know. It felt weird. I closed my eyes. Brielle was 19. Old enough to hear tension. Young enough to blame herself for it. Baby, your father and I are handling some grown-up things, I said, but I need you to hear me clearly. I am not planning to move out of this house. Nobody needs you to choose anything right now. You focus on school and call me when you need me. Are you okay? I looked toward the kitchen island where his phone had lit up the night before. I am getting okay, I said. That was the truest answer I had. Elijah came home that evening with white lilies, not roses. Lilies. Funeral flowers pretending to be romantic. I thought these might brighten the kitchen, he said. I took them from him and set them in water. Thank you. He watched me closely, searching for tears or rage. I gave him neither. Can we talk now? Not yet. Monica, silence is not going to help us. I trimmed the stems one by one. Neither did lying, but you tried that for a while. His face hardened, then softened again when he remembered which role he was playing. I deserve that, he said. He did not deserve it. He had earned more. Over the next few days, Elijah became careful. He brought coffee upstairs even though I was still sleeping in the guest room. He left old photo albums on the coffee table. He asked about my mother. He mentioned Nathan and Brielle with tender concern. He cooked breakfast on Saturday and asked if I remembered our trip to Savannah for our 15th anniversary. I remembered the river walk and Elijah holding my hand like he had found a treasure. Memory is cruel because it does not ask whether the person in it still exists. While he performed regret, I collected paper. I found a credit card charge for a boutique hotel near the lake on a night Elijah said he was visiting a supplier. I found an email printed in his trash with only the bottom half remaining. It mentioned after B leaves and cleaner if Emma agrees first. I found a calendar note on his tablet that said condo walkthrough, hidden under initials. None of it alone would have been enough. Together, it became a map. On Monday morning, I drove downtown to Howard Raines's office. His building sat between a bakery and a dentist, nothing dramatic. Howard was in his early 60s, with silver hair, brown skin, rimless glasses, and a calm face that did not waste sympathy by making it loud. He read everything I brought: the text screenshots, the transfer records, the condo page, the draft separation agreement, the talking points, the note about Brielle. When he finished, he took off his glasses and set them on the desk. Mrs. Whitfield, do you want to punish him, or do you want to protect yourself? Both, I said. For the first time that week, I heard my own honesty and did not apologize for it. Howard nodded. That is human. But in my office, we start with protection. He explained it in plain language. The transfers from our joint account to Camille's company mattered. The draft agreement mattered. The plan to frame my move as my idea mattered. The fact that Elijah was already speaking to our daughter mattered. Do not empty accounts, he said. Do not threaten him. Do not post anything. Do not hand him your evidence because he asks nicely. Back everything up. Stay in the home. We will file when the timing is right. What about the company anniversary dinner? I asked. Howard looked at me over his glasses. Why? I told him Elijah kept talking about a united front. The dinner was coming in a week. 30 years since Elijah started Whitfield Components in a rented garage with one used machine, and a loan my father co-signed. Church friends would be there, business partners, employees. Nathan planned to drive in. Brielle would be home for the weekend. Howard leaned back. Public scenes can make judges annoyed, he said. I am not looking for a scene. Then do not create one. But if he uses that room to misrepresent you, you are allowed to correct the record. Briefly, calmly, with copies, not accusations. Copies, not accusations. I wrote that down. When I left his office, the air outside smelled like rain and bakery sugar. I wanted to sit in the bakery and be somebody whose worst problem was too much icing. Instead, I drove home and made another folder. A thin one. Not every piece of proof, just enough to show the shape of the lie. Elijah got more restless as the week went on. He did not like calm. Calm gave him nothing to argue with. On Wednesday night, he stood in the doorway of the guest room while I folded laundry. "Are you punishing me?" I matched socks. "No." "Then what is this?" Me thinking. "For how long?" I looked up. "However long it takes." His mouth tightened. "We cannot live in limbo forever." "Funny," I said. "I think I was already living there. I just did not know you had named it." He left without answering. Later that night, Nathan called. His voice carried the road noise of his drive home from work. "Dad asked if I could come in early Friday before the dinner," he said. "He said he wanted to talk man to man." The phrase made my stomach clench. About what? He was vague. He said, "You have been under pressure and he wants us to support you." "Mom, what is going on?" I sat on the edge of the guest bed. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted my son to be angry on my behalf. I wanted one person to say out loud that I was not crazy. But I could hear Howard's voice, briefly, calmly. "Copies, not accusations." "Your father and I are dealing with something serious," I said. "I promise I will not ask you to pick a side before you know the truth. But I also need you not to accept anybody's version just because they say it first." Nathan was quiet. "Did he hurt you?" "Not with his hands." His breath changed. "Okay," he said slowly. "I hear you." That was enough for that night. Friday arrived bright and cold, the day of the anniversary dinner. Elijah behaved like a man preparing for a board meeting and a funeral at the same time. He shaved carefully, polished his shoes, adjusted his tie, then glanced at me through the bedroom mirror. "Tonight matters," he said. "I know. For the business. For our family." "I know that too." He turned. "Can we please show people we are still united? Whatever happens between us, the company does not deserve chaos." There was the hook. United. He wanted my face beside his lie. I wore a navy dress instead of black. Black felt too easy. I pinned my hair back, put on the gold hoops Brielle gave me for Mother's Day, and slid the thin folder into my clutch. Before we left, I stood at the kitchen island, the same place his phone had lit up, and wiped yellow pollen from the flowers he bought. Some stains announce themselves, some wait for light. The anniversary dinner was held at a country club with a lake view, white tablecloths, and a chandelier big enough to make everybody look richer than they were. 30 years of contracts and payroll checks had made Elijah a respected man in that room. People shook his hand like he had built the building himself. Employees hugged me. Old church friends said I looked beautiful. Vendors thanked me for years of holiday baskets and handwritten cards. Every kind word reminded me of something important. I had been part of the building too. Camille was there. Of course she was. Officially, she was the event consultant. Unofficially, she stood near the side of the room in a deep green dress, watching Elijah with a quiet ownership that made my skin go cold. When she saw me, her polite smile appeared and disappeared in 1 second. Nathan arrived in a gray suit, tall and tense. He hugged me longer than usual. "You good?" he whispered. "Steady," I said. Brielle came in 20 minutes later wearing a cream dress and a worried face. She looked from me to her father, then back again. "Mom?" I kissed her cheek. "Tonight, just breathe." Dinner began. Speeches from managers, a slideshow of the company through the years, the first shop, the first delivery truck, Elijah at 32 with more hope than money. Me in one photo, holding Nathan on my hip and a tray of sandwiches for the men working late. People laughed, people clapped. I did not hate those memories. That made it harder. Then Elijah walked to the microphone. He looked handsome under the warm lights, confident, grateful. The room loved him before he said a word. 30 years, he began. I can hardly believe it. Applause rose. He thanked employees, vendors, mentors. He thanked my late father for believing in him early. That part made my throat tighten because it was true. Then he looked at me. And of course, my wife, Monica. She has stood beside me through every hard season. People turned and clapped. I nodded once. He waited for the applause to fade. Marriage, like business, asks us to grow, he continued. Sometimes growth means facing change with grace. Sometimes it means allowing the people we love to find peace in a new chapter. There it was, soft, elegant, public. He had wrapped abandonment in gift paper and handed it to the room. A few people looked at me with careful sympathy. Camille's chin lifted slightly from the side of the room. Nathan stared at his father. Brielle's eyes filled with confusion. Elijah continued. Whatever changes come for our family, I hope we meet them with dignity, privacy, and love. Privacy. He had brought our marriage into the room and then asked the room not to look too closely. When the applause started, I stood. Not fast, not dramatically, just stood. My chair moved back with a soft scrape. The people at our table went still. Elijah saw me and paused with the microphone in his hand. I walked to the front with my clutch under my arm. I could feel Nathan behind me, half standing. I could feel Brielle holding her breath. I stopped beside Elijah and held out my hand. May I? He smiled for the room, but his eyes warned me. Monica, maybe later. I kept my hand out. The room had gone quiet enough to hear silverware settle against plates. Elijah gave me the microphone because refusing would have looked worse. I faced the people who had known us for years. My husband is right about one thing, I said. Change does require dignity. A few heads nodded. It also requires truth. Elijah shifted beside me. I opened the folder. I am not going to share every private hurt in this room. I would not do that to my children, and I would not do that to myself. But since Elijah has chosen to introduce a new chapter publicly, I need to correct one part of the story. I am not leaving my home to move closer to my mother. That was never my plan. Brielle made a small sound at our table. I held up the first page. These are transfers from our joint account to Vaughn Event Strategies, Camille Vaughn's company. Some were business expenses, some were not. My attorney can sort that out. A murmur moved through the room. Camille's face changed. I held up the second page. This is a lakeside condo listing with a deposit schedule found after Ms. Vaughn came to my house last week because she believed I was gone. Elijah reached for my arm. I moved just enough that he touched air. Monica, he said under his breath. I held up the third page. And this is a page from Elijah's own planning notes. It says, Monica may resist at first. Frame move near her mother as her idea. Wait until Brielle is settled. The room changed temperature. It is hard to explain the sound people make when a polite lie breaks in public. It is 100 small sounds, a chair leg, a whisper, a breath pulled in too fast, a glass set down too hard. Brielle stood up. Dad? That one word did more than my whole folder. Elijah took the microphone from my hand, but by then his hand was shaking. Everyone, please, he said. This is a painful family matter and Monica is under a lot of stress. I did not grab the microphone back. I spoke from beside him, clear enough for the front tables to hear. I was under stress last week. Tonight I brought copies. Nathan stood fully then. Is that your handwriting? He asked his father. Elijah looked at our son, and for a second, the businessman disappeared. What remained was a father caught by the child he had expected to manage. Nathan, this is complicated. Is it your handwriting? No answer. Brielle was crying now, but she was not looking at me. She was looking at Elijah. You told me Mom wanted to move, she said. You made me think she was falling apart. That broke something in him, not guilt, exactly. Exposure. I was trying to protect you, he said. Brielle shook her head. From what? The truth or Mom? Camille started moving toward the side exit. Nadine, who had come as my guest, rose from 2 tables back. She did not block Camille with her body. She simply stepped into the aisle and said, softly enough that only nearby tables heard, "Leaving does not erase paperwork." Camille stopped, then turned another way and left through the back. I did not follow her with my eyes. She mattered, but she was not the center. The center was my husband standing under a chandelier, holding a microphone he no longer controlled. I took one step back. I do not need anybody here to choose sides tonight, I said. I only need the truth to be remembered accurately. The rest will be handled through counsel. Then I returned to my table. No speech after that could save the evening. People whispered. Some left early. Some came to me with trembling hugs. Some avoided my eyes. Elijah tried to approach me twice. Nathan stepped between us the first time. The second time, I lifted one hand. Not here. You humiliated me, Elijah said. His voice was low, but not low enough. I looked at him, this man I had loved, fed, defended, and believed. No, I said. I stopped helping you humiliate me quietly. For once, he had no line ready. Nathan drove Brielle and me home. The car was quiet except for her crying in the back seat. At home, I made tea because mothers make tea when there is nothing else to fix. Brielle sat on the sofa with her shoes still on. Nathan stood by the fireplace, looking at the family photos like they might answer him. How long did you know? He asked. A week. He turned. A week? I needed proof before I brought you into it. Brielle wiped her face with both hands. Was she at the house? Yes. Did he invite her? I sat across from my daughter. I did, from his phone, after I saw her message. For the first time all night, Brielle almost smiled through her tears. Mom. It was not my proudest moment. Nathan let out a short breath that might have been a laugh if his heart had not been so hurt. Then he covered his face. I am sorry, he said. I should have seen something. No, I told him. You are his son, not his detective. Brielle moved to sit beside me and leaned her head on my shoulder. She was still my baby in that moment, no matter how old she was. You did not embarrass us, she whispered. He did. Those words settled in a place I had not known, was starving. Elijah did not come home that night.
Or he sent 7 texts. We need to talk. You went too far. The company may suffer because of this. The kids did not deserve that. Camille is devastated. I hope you are satisfied. Then, near midnight, I still love you. I read each one once and forwarded them to Howard. I did not reply. In the morning, I found Elijah's wedding ring on the kitchen island. For a second, I thought it would undo me. That ring had been on his hand through births, funerals, mortgages, and ordinary Tuesdays. Now it sat beside the fruit bowl like a coin left for a bill. I put it in a small envelope and wrote the date on the front. Evidence. That word felt cold, but it kept me moving. The weeks that followed were paperwork, appointments, phone calls, and awkward conversations. Howard filed for temporary financial protections. Elijah pushed back through his attorney.
Camille sent one long email that sounded like an apology until you noticed she called their relationship unexpected healing and referred to me as resistant to change. I forwarded that too. Nathan came by twice a week for a while. Sometimes he fixed things that were not broken. I understood. Men who are grieving sometimes need a screwdriver because words feel too exposed. One evening, he found me in the garage sorting old boxes from the company's startup years. He used your dad's loan, Nathan said quietly. I nodded. Yes. And then thanked him in that speech. Yes. Nathan sat on an overturned bucket and stared at the concrete floor. I do not know how to be his son right now. I put down the box in my hands. You do not have to solve that today. Are you angry? Yes. You do not sound angry. That is because I am tired too. He nodded like that made more sense than any speech I could have given. Brielle called every night for 2 weeks. Some calls were short. Some lasted an hour. She asked questions in pieces. Did he say he loved her? Did she sit in our living room? Did you know when I called about statistics? Was Dad trying to make me think you were sick? I answered what I could without handing her every ugly detail. Children, even adult children, do not need every shard of glass to believe a window broke. One Sunday afternoon, she came home from campus and found me cleaning out the cabinet under the kitchen island. She sat cross-legged on the floor beside me and began sorting old batteries from takeout menus. I keep replaying that dinner, she said. Me too. When you said you brought copies, I thought Dad was going to faint. I looked at her. She smiled a little. Then she cried. I pulled her into my arms right there on the kitchen floor. I hate that you had to be strong, she said. I hate that you had to see it. I needed to. That was my daughter growing up in a way I never wanted but could not stop. Elijah moved into a rented townhouse near his office, not the lake condo. That deal fell apart after the dinner and the financial review. Camille's event contracts with his company became a problem his board did not want to explain. He kept his business, but not untouched. The people who once took his word as fact started asking for documents. I learned there is a special kind of consequence in being believed less. The divorce took 9 months. 9 months of appraisals, mediation, signatures, bank records, and mornings when I woke up furious before my feet touched the floor. 9 months of missing the old Elijah and reminding myself that memory is not evidence of present character. Nadine stayed. She showed up with soup, storage bins, and patience. When I cried, she let me. When I got too soft toward him, she asked one question. What did the paper say? The paper always brought me back. Monica may resist at first. Frame moved near her mother as her idea. Wait until Brielle is settled. I stopped needing to hate him every day. I only needed to remember accurately. By spring, the house felt different. Not empty. Mine. I changed the locks after the temporary order allowed it. I painted the guest room a soft green. I moved Elijah's big leather chair out of the office and put a reading chair by the window. My mother came over one Saturday and sat there with a cup of tea. You always did need more light in here, she said. That was her way of saying she was proud of me. I took the lilies Elijah had brought that first week, dried one petal from them, and threw the rest away. The petal went into the same envelope as the condo page and the ring, so I would remember how carefully a lie can dress itself. The final hearing happened on a rainy Tuesday. Howard sat beside me. Elijah sat across the room with his attorney, older around the eyes than he had been a year before. We did not look at each other much. The settlement was not perfect. Real life rarely gives perfect. But it was fair enough to let me breathe. I kept the house. The improper transfers were accounted for in the division. Elijah kept his company with tighter oversight and a reputation that no longer floated above question. Afterward, in the hallway, he approached me. For the first time since the dinner, he looked less angry than worn down. Monica, he said, I am sorry. I waited. He swallowed. I am sorry for how I handled it. There it was again. How? I almost smiled, not because it was funny, but because some people will circle the truth for the rest of their lives and still call that movement growth. Take care of yourself, Elijah, I said. Then I walked away. That evening, Nathan and Brielle came over with takeout. We ate at the kitchen island because the dining room felt too formal for freedom. Nathan told a work story. Brielle complained about a professor. My mother called to tell everyone they were eating too much sodium. We laughed, not because everything was healed, because laughter had finally found a chair at the table again. Later, after they left, I stood alone in the kitchen. The island was clean, no phone glowing, no lilies shedding pollen, no husband upstairs building steam, and secrets behind a locked bathroom door. Just me, a cup of tea, and the quiet I had earned. I ran my hand over the counter where that message had appeared. For months, I had hated that spot. Now it felt like a witness. A phone lit up there and tried to ruin me. Instead, it showed me where to look. The doorbell rang once that night because Brielle had forgotten her charger. When I opened the door, my daughter stood on the porch laughing at herself, curls damp from the rain, one hand over her head. I swear I would lose my whole life if it did not have a cord attached, she said. I handed her the charger and pulled her into a hug. After she drove away, I closed the door and locked it, not out of fear, out of habit, safety, and peace. If you have ever had to stay calm while someone tried to rewrite your life, tell me what helped you trust the proof in front of you. Someone else may be staring at a glowing phone tonight, wondering if they are strong enough to answer the door.